Saros launched on the PlayStation 5 on April 30th, 2026, a third-person bullet hell action roguelite from Studio House Mark. While keeping the same framework as its predecessor Returnal, the game delivers some great moment-to-moment gameplay, but tells a story that would be better left on soap opera television. I'm Tom the Wizard Man, and this is the Fake Wizards review of Saros. If this video brings you any value at all, please hit the subscribe button, as we'll be posting lots of reviews every single week. Saros opens on an alien world called Carcosa, stuck under the shadow of an ominous planet-wide eclipse. The Soltari Corporation had sent several expedition teams here to establish a colony and gather the rare and valuable resource Lucenite, but had lost contact with the crews. You play as Arjun, an enforcer for the corporation, who's tasked with investigating what happened to the previous teams while also pursuing your own hidden prerogative. As you explore the different environments and fight through enemies and bosses, you discover that something about this planet is wrong, and that being on it slowly corrupts and changes a person, including Arjun. If you die during a level, which you will, you revive back at base with no understanding of how. It plays into the fight, die, repeat nature of House Mark roguelites, where each run is different from each other as a result of this twisted world. The gameplay is fast and intensive. You have to dodge, block, and parry the incoming projectiles of the nightmarish entities and robots roaming around Carcosa as you lay down your own suppressive fire. There's a multitude of weapon types with different attributes that appear throughout the runs, and play a large role in whether you're going to win this run or not. When you get to the point where you can get the crossbow, always pick it. It is the best weapon. Playing through the levels, opening chests, and dispatching enemies and bosses, you'll pick up Lucenite and Halcyon, which are used to upgrade your suit back at the base to make help runs a little bit easier. Additionally, you'll unlock a modifier system that can help make your runs easier or harder depending on how you want to play. Saros is weird. It's not a bad game, but there are certain things that are preventing it from being a great game. Issue number 1 is the protagonist being locked in at one note. It saddens me to report, but Arjun has the emotional range of a vending machine, and I don't necessarily blame the actor for that. The writing for him is so hollow that he's not exactly given much to work with. Across 8 to 9 hours of plot, he'll watch as his crewmates go crazy, discover evidence of previous expeditions driven to madness, and overall come face to face with what happened to his wife on this planet, and yet Arjun's vocal registry rarely shifts off from a low graveled mutter. He'll get through a fight and just go, "I need to find her."
Nitya was here. That's all that matters.
There are moments where things will happen and Arjun opens up slightly, but the character doesn't change after those moments. Instead, he immediately goes back to the same flat, gruff responses. As the story progresses, it's clear that the influence present on this planet is affecting Arjun, but because of how one-noted it all comes off as, it doesn't really have the same impact that they were going for. Raul Cali sounds like he's trying to do a Ben Starr impression for the performance, and I'm not really sure it hits. Issue number 2. The story reaches for cosmic horror with the wrong tools. The structural choice driving the writing is this. Saros holds nearly all of its emotional content for late game reveals, banking on a slow burn of audio logs and oblique exchanges to build curiosity that the third act is supposed to pay off. The bet is that the reveals will retroactively justify the patience. Sadly, this bet does not pay off. The reveals arrive in dialogue lifted from the most generic romance movie playbooks imaginable, and the foundation that should have been laid across the first 20 hours is missing entirely. There is no investment to cash in. The on-the-nose touch arrives in the small details that compound. Arjun's health point stat is labeled Integrity. Once the late game reveals his past, that naming choice becomes extremely cringy. Every time the integrity meter drops in combat, well, that's symbolism of something else. Then there's the King in Yellow problem. Saros explicitly draws on Robert W. Chambers' 1895 short story collection as a foundational point in this game's lore. For context, the King in Yellow story is considered a foundational text of cosmic horror and the lineage that inspired writers like H.P. Lovecraft and the 100 years of weird fiction that came after him. Borrowing that mythos raises the ceilings on what the writing has to deliver. Chambers built Carcosa as a place that breaks the mind of anyone who confronts it. Saros uses the names and imagery, but it doesn't live up to the philosophical weight. The cosmic horror in this functions more like a set dressing to earthbound marital problems. Like, yeah, you definitely need to work on this stuff out, but you're literally on an alien planet that's actively trying to kill you. What's more important right now? Issue number 3. The art is fighting itself. Carcosa is one of the most visually ambitious environments House Mark has ever built. The biomes lean into specific iconography with references to Hindu religious art and what I'll refer to as hand horror, all of which does look really cool. This is a visually impressive game. However, how it's presented muddies it up in two ways. The first being the face models and dialogue scenes. They lack the fidelity to carry any kind of emotion the characters are trying to portray, and there's just a certain level of jank that just feels off. The second is more functional. Most of the enemies are hard to see during active combat from how much stuff is thrown on screen at once. Countless particle effects of blue, yellow, and red in different bullet patterns, and attacks obscure what you're actually fighting. Plus, most of the enemies have light sources coming off of them, making it hard to even know what it is you're fighting. Saros has an in-game bestiary inviting you to read about the different enemies and learn about them, but that doesn't really help when the combat presentation eats them anytime you fight them. Issue number 4. The boss grind exhausts before it satisfies. A typical Saros run through a level follows a pattern. You spend roughly 20 minutes traversing a zone, fighting through encounters, and building the loadout you'll need for what's at the end. Then you hit a boss who, on first encounter, will almost certainly kill you. You respawn at the headquarters and must rerun the zone. You fight the boss again, and assuming you were able to unlock a few upgrades back at base, maybe you'll beat the boss this time. For some players, this is the whole appeal. The genre is built on it, but in this instance, the bosses feel like such bullet sponges that it feels less like a fight and more like running in a circle for a couple minutes while having the right trigger pressed down the entire time. It's not really satisfying and kind of cramps your hands up with how long some of these bosses end up being. And with it being the roguelite playstyle, playing the level again to get to the boss feels more like a chore than a fun experience. I found it exhausting toward the end of the game. With each boss fight, I was actively hoping that this boss would be the last. That's not good. When the player is hoping for the credits instead of the next encounter, it means something is wrong. The combat in this game is fun, and while buying the armor upgrades after death feels like a dopamine hit each time, the actual benefits of said upgrades don't make you feel that much more powerful. So most runs, you're just anxious hoping that you could do it in one clean run, or else you're stuck doing it again for the next 20 to 30 minutes. As a disclaimer, go easy on the caffeine when you're playing this game, as it can give you severe anxiety, like it did me. The music is intense, the combat is intense, the environments are unnerving, and you're stressing about not dying. If you're looking for a game to kick back and relax to, Saros is not that game. In conclusion, Saros retails for $70 in the United States. While the combat is a lot of fun, the weak story and the crutch of using legacy cosmic horror as a frame for an unfulfilling plot renders this game made for the backlog. This game isn't worth $70. Wait to get it on sale if you're actively looking to play it. Anyone who came for some kind of prestige cosmic horror narrative the marketing promised should temper their expectations sharply. Saros is a 5.5 out of 10. If this gave you something to chew on, please like and subscribe, as we will be continuing to do reviews of PlayStation games and more.